Most people never notice mistakes on coins, but some Washington quarters with errors are worth serious money. A missing detail, a doubled mark, or a strike flaw can turn an ordinary quarter into a collector's prize. These errors are rare, and many are still hiding in circulation. Check your quarters before you spend them. Like and subscribe for more hidden coin secrets. By the time 1990 arrived, the Washington quarter had already been a familiar presence in American life for nearly 6 decades. It passed through vending machines, cash registers, parking meters, and pockets without a second thought. Most people saw it as nothing more than 25 cents. But hidden among the millions of quarters struck that year at the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small p, were rare error coins that today tell a very different story, one that can lead to values ranging from $67,560 to as high as $168,000. The early 1990s were a period of rapid production for the U.S. Mint. America's economy was shifting, consumer spending was high, and the demand for circulating coinage was constant. To keep up, the Mint relied on high-speed presses running almost non-stop. Precision was critical, but when production reaches that scale, perfection becomes difficult to maintain. Tiny deviations, barely noticeable at the time, sometimes slipped through inspection. Those deviations are exactly what transformed a handful of ordinary 1990p Washington quarters into extraordinary collector treasures. The design itself was unchanged and familiar. George Washington's profile dominated the obverse, dignified and timeless, while the reverse still featured the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. Billions of eyes had seen this design before, which made spotting errors even harder. That familiarity allowed flawed coins to blend seamlessly into circulation, where they quietly waited to be discovered years later. One of the most sought-after errors associated with the 1990p Washington quarter is the doubled die. This error originates not during the striking of the coin, but during the creation of the die itself. If the die receives a misaligned impression, parts of the design become duplicated. On some 1990p quarters, collectors have identified doubling in the date, the word Liberty, or the motto In God We Trust. Under magnification, the letters appear thick, shadowed, or slightly separated. These are not signs of wear, but of a rare manufacturing mistake that only affected a very limited number of coins. Another highly valuable category involves off-metal or wrong planchet strikes. In rare instances, a quarter planchet was swapped or mixed with blanks intended for other denominations or even foreign coins. When struck, the result was a quarter with an unusual color, incorrect weight, or altered thickness. Some appear lighter, others darker, and some ring differently when gently tapped. These anomalies immediately catch the attention of experienced collectors, because they should never exist under normal circumstances. When authenticated, such coins have commanded prices deep into 6 figures. There are also known examples of off-center strikes from 1990p. These occur when the planchet is not properly seated in the striking chamber. The design ends up shifted, sometimes dramatically, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side. The more visible and well-centered the remaining design is, the more desirable the coin becomes. An extreme off-center error that still shows the full date and mint mark can be exceptionally rare and valuable. Collectors often describe the moment of discovery as surreal. A quarter pulled from an old roll, a childhood coin jar, or an inherited collection looks ordinary at first glance. Then something feels off. The weight doesn't match expectations. The lettering looks unusually bold. Under a magnifying glass, the truth begins to reveal itself. That single realization that this coin is different can instantly transform a forgotten piece of change into a potential $80,000, $120,000, or even $168,000 rarity. Auction records have validated these discoveries. Certified 1990p Washington quarters with dramatic errors have appeared at major numismatic auctions, drawing intense bidding from collectors who understand just how few examples exist. Coins graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC consistently achieve the highest prices, because authentication eliminates doubt and confirms legitimacy. In several cases, private sales have quietly reached astonishing figures, driven by collectors eager to secure one of these elusive errors. Condition plays a decisive role in determining value. A coin with a spectacular error but heavy ware may still be valuable, but nowhere near its full potential. Conversely, a high-grade example with sharp details, original luster, and minimal contact marks can multiply its worth several times over. This is why professional grading is so important. It preserves the coin's story and ensures that its condition is universally recognized. What makes the 1990p Washington quarter especially fascinating is how modern it is. Unlike coins from the early 1900s, these quarters are not ancient relics. Many people alive today use them daily. That means undiscovered examples may still exist, tucked away in dresser drawers, piggy banks, or old coffee cans. The idea that such value could still be hiding in plain sight is what continues to fuel interest in modern-era coins. These quarters also highlight the human side of minting. Despite advanced machinery and strict standards, the process is still vulnerable to small misalignments, worn dies, and momentary lapses in calibration. Each error coin is a frozen moment in that process, a reminder that even in a system built for uniformity, individuality can slip through. For collectors, the appeal goes beyond money. Holding a rare error coin is like holding a secret chapter of history, one that was never meant to exist. It represents chance, oversight, and survival. Most flawed coins were caught and destroyed. Only a handful escaped, circulated, and endured long enough to be rediscovered decades later. The 1990p Washington quarter error coin stands as proof that treasure hunting doesn't always require digging in the ground or traveling the world. Sometimes it starts by simply slowing down and looking closer at what you already have. A simple magnifying glass, a scale, and curiosity can open the door to discoveries that defy expectations. Every quarter has a story, but a rare error coin carries one that almost disappeared. Its value, ranging from $67,560 to $168,000, is not just about metal or mistakes. It's about rarity, timing, and the quiet thrill of uncovering something extraordinary where no one thought to look. The next time a Washington quarter passes through your hands, remember that history has a habit of hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. The year 2000 marked a turning point in modern American coinage. The United States was entering a new millennium, technology was rapidly evolving, and optimism filled the air. At the same time, the U.S. Mint was deep into one of the most ambitious numismatic programs ever launched, the 50-state quarters program. Millions of Americans were suddenly paying attention to coins again, pulling quarters from their pockets, checking designs, and saving them in folders and jars. Among those coins was the 2000p New Hampshire State Quarter, a piece that looked ordinary but would later become legendary because of rare minting errors capable of pushing its value from $58,750 all the way up to $145,750. The New Hampshire Quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and released into circulation as part of the 5th year of the State Quarters program. Its reverse design features the famous Old Man of the Mountain, a natural rock formation that symbolized strength and independence. At the time of the coin's release, no one imagined that this iconic image would one day be tied to some of the most intriguing error coins of the modern era. The quarter entered circulation quietly, used for parking meters, vending machines, toll booths, and everyday purchases across the country. Behind the scenes, however, the Mint was operating under immense pressure. Demand for state quarters was unprecedented. Collectors, banks, and the general public all wanted them. The Philadelphia Mint was producing enormous quantities at high speed, running presses day and night. When production reaches that level, perfection becomes difficult to maintain. Worn dies, rushed inspections, misaligned planchets, and human oversight created conditions where rare errors could slip through unnoticed. One of the most fascinating errors found on the 2000p New Hampshire quarter is the dramatic die break and die crack phenomenon. In some examples, the reverse shows heavy raised lines or blobs of metal cutting through the design, sometimes crossing the Old Man of the Mountain itself. These errors occurred when a die began to fracture but was kept in use. Each strike worsened the damage, creating unique coins that look almost sculpted rather than stamped. High-grade examples with bold die breaks have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, especially when professionally certified. Another highly sought-after error is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet is not perfectly seated in the press at the moment of impact. The resulting coin may show part of the design missing entirely, with blank metal exposed on one side. On modern coins like the New Hampshire quarter, dramatic off-center strikes are extremely rare because of improved machinery. That rarity is exactly why collectors will pay extraordinary prices. Some examples with strong eye appeal and minimal wear have reached values exceeding $100,000. Equally rare are wrong planchet errors. A small number of 2000p New Hampshire quarters were accidentally struck on planchets intended for other denominations or experimental blanks. These coins may appear thinner, lighter, or slightly different in color. When weighed, they immediately stand out from standard quarters. These mistakes occurred during transitions between production batches, when leftover planchets were not fully cleared from the presses. Because quality control usually catches these errors quickly, very few ever make it into circulation. When they do, they become elite collector pieces, with some private sales reported near the $145,750 range. There are also examples of double strikes where a coin is struck more than once, sometimes at different angles. The result is a ghost-like overlapping design that looks almost unreal. On a state quarter with detailed artwork, this type of error is visually stunning. Each piece is unique, and collectors value them not only for rarity but also for their dramatic appearance. The discovery stories surrounding these coins are often just as compelling as the errors themselves. A collector sorting through rolls from a local bank notices something odd about a quarter's surface. Another person finds a strange-looking coin while organizing a childhood collection. Under magnification, the truth slowly reveals itself. Raised metal where it shouldn't be, missing design elements, an unusual weight. That moment of realization, when an everyday coin transforms into something extraordinary, is what fuels the passion of numismatics. Auction records confirm the legitimacy of these values. Certified error examples of the 2000p New Hampshire quarter have drawn fierce bidding wars. Collectors understand that modern error coins in high condition are far scarcer than most people realize. Unlike older coins, modern pieces were heavily scrutinized, meaning only the most unusual mistakes survived. Condition plays a critical role in determining value. A dramatic error loses much of its appeal if the coin is heavily worn or damaged after leaving the mint. Coins graded in mint state condition, with sharp details and clean surfaces, command the highest prices. Professional grading not only authenticates the error but also protects the coin's long-term value. What makes this story truly remarkable is how accessible these coins once were. They were not locked away in vaults or sold as collectibles at release. They circulated freely. Many were spent without a second thought. Some may still be sitting unnoticed in old jars, desk drawers, inherited collections, or forgotten coin albums. The 2000p New Hampshire State Quarter Error coin is a reminder that rarity is often accidental. It is born from pressure, speed, and human imperfection. These coins are historical artifacts of a moment when America was celebrating its states while racing into a new century. Taking time to examine coins does not require expert knowledge. Simple tools like a magnifying glass and a scale can reveal surprising details. Looking closely at dates, mint marks, alignment, and surface features can turn curiosity into discovery and the end. The lesson is simple but powerful. Value is not always obvious. A quarter that once bought a soda could today be worth $58,750, $100,000, or even $145,750 if it carries the right error and condition. The next time you come across a New Hampshire State quarter dated 2000 with a small P mint mark, don't dismiss it too quickly, because history, rarity, and unexpected fortune sometimes hide in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone willing to look a little closer.
The year 2001 was a moment frozen in American memory. It was a time of transition, uncertainty, and profound historical impact. Amid everything happening in the nation, the U.S. Mint continued one of its most ambitious projects ever, the 50 State Quarters program. Millions of quarters were being produced at an incredible pace, meant to circulate freely and celebrate individual states. One of those coins was the 2001 P New York State Quarter, a piece so common that it passed through countless hands without a second thought. Yet hidden within that flood of production were rare error coins that today can command astonishing prices ranging from $55,890 to as high as $140,650. The New York State Quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint and released into circulation as part of the program's fourth year. Its reverse design is bold and symbolic, featuring the outline of New York State with an inscription honoring the gateway to freedom. The Statue of Liberty stands proudly to the right, while an 11-star arc represents New York's position as the 11th state to join the Union. At the time, the design resonated deeply with Americans, but no one imagined that some examples of this quarter would later become some of the most sought-after modern-era coins. Behind the scenes, the Philadelphia Mint was operating under relentless pressure. Demand for state quarters was massive. Banks ordered them by the millions, collectors hoarded them in rolls, and the general public actively searched for new designs. To meet that demand, presses ran at high speeds, dies wore down quickly, and quality control teams were forced to prioritize volume. In that environment, rare mistakes slipped through, mistakes that would transform ordinary quarters into numismatic treasures. One of the most dramatic errors found on the 2001 New York quarter is the major die break error. As dies cracked and fractured from constant use, some were kept in service longer than they should have been. The result was raised metal lines, ridges, or even large blobs cutting across the design. On some examples, the cracks slice through the outline of New York State or distort the stars and lettering. These errors are highly visual, instantly recognizable, and extremely rare in strong condition. Certified examples with bold die breaks have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, with top specimens pushing well into six-figure territory. Another highly prized variety is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not properly aligned in the press at the moment of impact. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, replaced by blank metal. On modern quarters, especially those from the State Quarters program, this type of error is exceptionally rare due to advanced machinery. When such a coin survives circulation in high condition, collectors take notice immediately. Some off-center 2001 New York quarters have sold for prices approaching $100,000, depending on the severity and appeal of the error. Equally fascinating are wrong planchet errors. In rare instances, a New York quarter was struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or experimental batch. These coins may appear thinner, lighter, or have a slightly different color. When weighed, they clearly fall outside official specifications. These errors usually occur during transitions between production runs when leftover blanks are not fully cleared from the presses. Because quality control is designed to catch such mistakes quickly, very few ever reach circulation. Those that do become elite collectibles, with some confirmed private sales reaching values near $140,650. There are also double strike errors, where a coin is struck more than once, sometimes with the second strike slightly rotated or offset. The resulting image looks chaotic yet mesmerizing, with overlapping outlines of the design. On a detailed coin like the New York State Quarter, this creates a dramatic visual effect that collectors love. Each example is completely unique, making them especially desirable. The stories of discovery often begin quietly. A collector opens a roll from the bank and notices something unusual. A person sorting through an old coin jar spots raised metal where it shouldn't be. Under magnification, the truth becomes clear. The design is distorted. The coin feels different. That moment, when an everyday quarter suddenly reveals itself as something extraordinary, is what drives the passion of numismatics. Auction records and grading services have confirmed these values time and again. Certified error examples of the 2001 New York State Quarter have generated intense bidding wars. Modern error coins are often misunderstood, but experienced collectors know they can be rarer than many older classics. With stricter quality control and faster detection, fewer modern errors survive, making each confirmed example incredibly important. Condition plays a crucial role in determining value. A spectacular error can lose much of its worth if the coin is heavily worn or damaged. Collectors seek coins with sharp details, clean surfaces, and minimal contact marks. Those graded in mint state condition by professional services command the highest prices. Even a small difference in grade can mean tens of thousands of dollars in value. What makes this story especially compelling is how accessible these coins once were. They were not sold as collectibles. They were not locked away. They circulated freely. They paid for snacks, tolls, and everyday purchases. Many were spent without a second glance. Some may still be sitting unnoticed in old jars, desk drawers, inherited collections, or forgotten albums. The 2001 New York State Quarter error coin represents a perfect intersection of history, speed, and human imperfection. It is a reminder that rarity is often accidental, born from pressure and repetition rather than intention. Each error coin is a physical record of a moment when something went slightly wrong, and that mistake created extraordinary value. Examining coins does not require advanced expertise. A simple magnifying glass, a scale, and patience are often enough. Look closely at alignment, lettering, surface texture, and weight. Trust curiosity. Many remarkable discoveries begin with nothing more than careful observation. In the end, the lesson is clear. Value does not always announce itself. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. A quarter that once seemed insignificant could today be worth $55,890, $100,000, or even $140,650 if it carries the right error and condition. The next time you come across a 2001 New York State Quarter with a small P mint mark, pause before dismissing it. Because history, rarity, and unexpected fortune often live inside the most ordinary coins, waiting patiently for someone to look a little closer.